Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Turnaround Coach, your place where you can get all of the juicy details on making sure that the transformation for your organization is right on par. The place where you can get those strategies and those tips that'll help you continue to move your small business forward, your school forward, whatever it is you're working on. Because we all know we don't start these kind of adventures just to be average. We all want to be excellent. And my journey brings me to this place where I can give you my thoughts and my processes right here for free each week so that you can do your very, very best. All right, this week, as we continue talking about just those simple little things that can help you make your transformation the best it can be, I want to talk to you about something that I find to be very important when working on transformation, a turnaround, whatever it is, just even scaling to the next level. And that is the fact of really making sure that you have the right people in your corner. So I want to tell you just a little story. When I took over this last school, I interviewed over Zoom, actually over Skype, because it was 8 years ago, right? And when I did the interview over Skype, where I lived, my internet was pretty strong because I'm a one person, right, in the home. Nobody else was using any of the bandwidth. But the school district that I was interviewing with that day in particular, and it was springtime in Houston, they were having some storms. And eight and a half years ago, internet wasn't as strong for everybody. It wasn't as big of a priority, right, in schools. And their internet was going in and out. And what it allowed for me to be able to do is I could see them on my screen and I could hear them, but they couldn't see me. They could only hear me, right, for the initial interview. So we go through the interview. I tell them all of the things that I've done with my two previous schools, all the things that I would do moving into this position, because I had done my research, of course, and they called me for a second interview. But they asked if that second interview could be in person because they couldn't see me. They didn't know who they were hiring, right? They just heard my voice, kind of like making a big decision about somebody just with a telephone call. So I flew to Houston and I met with them, and what I felt going into that meeting was some kind of concern as well, because I only saw them on a Skype call. I wasn't able to see each person's expressions on their face, and I read people a lot by their body language, their facial expressions, how they kind of work in the world. And I wanted to make sure if I was moving 1,000 miles for this position, I wanted it to be one that I felt I was going to be as great of a fit. And they were going to be as great of a fit, right? So that we were really going to be a good fit with each other. So when I got into the room in person, I felt relieved because I felt like I had people in that room that were going to support me 100%. And as a matter of fact, they said, we were so impressed with your first interview. We know we already want to give you the job. We just felt we needed to see you in person before we were able to do so. And I felt like, wow, I did that without them even seeing me. That's a tough situation. We're more used to it now, right? But back at that point in time in 2015, that wasn't the case. And so I felt like, wow, I did my job. I really got these people to be on my side. And here's why I share this story and why that was important is because you want some key influencers in your organization to be 100% on your side. You need that when you're going into or starting to work on this transformation. They were influencers. They had the monies, they had the programs, they had the final say on so many things. I needed those people to be 100% about me. Now, fast forward to that was a Friday. I stayed through Tuesday so that on Monday of that following week, I could go and start meeting people at the school. And what I did is I pulled together these important people that had not already resigned because it was May, right? So they were already starting to put their resignations in, knowing that a new principal was coming on board. And, when there's new leadership, there's going to be change. So some of these key people that I had heard from these district people, you want to get these people on your side within the organization. I wanted to start meeting with them now. I needed to do that in person. I needed to do it as quickly as possible. And I needed to make sure that they felt comfortable enough with me now within that short period. I only met with them for a couple of hours, that short period of time where I could start communicating with them as I flew back to Des Moines and as I continued to wrap up the school year there and prepared to move back to Houston. These were key influencers within the organization. Now, were all of these people formal leaders? No. Were all of these people going to continue in a formal leadership position if they were in one? No, not necessarily. But what I did know is from what I received, the data I received was that they were influential within the school. Now, I think about that word influencer, right? And when you think about people who have influence on others, they don't necessarily have to be the CEO of an organization. They don't necessarily have to be the smartest person in the room. Influencers have influence for so many different reasons. And if you even look on social media, all of these influencers that are out there, they're not the richest people in the world either. They don't have the money, but they have power. They have power because of something. Maybe they're very charismatic. Maybe they have a lot of people on their side. They're popular. They know people. Maybe they've connected with the right people that have promoted them. Now, I want you to think about that within your organization, because your most influential people might not be your leads, your managers, your directors, your whatever you call them. They may be the lowest person on the totem pole that has the most influence because people like them. I'll give you an example. I had a teacher at one of the schools that I led. It wasn't this last one, but at one of the schools that I led, who was just, I'm going to use the word infectious, that dug and stirred this pot and knew how to drop little pieces of information to different people that would make people start to panic or start to worry or start to gossip or just start stuff. And when I first took over this school, I noticed it, but I thought, wow, no, this person can't have that much influence, right? This person really did not have a power position in the school building. But here's what ended up happening. They did have a lot of influence. So much so that there was a point in time, as I was the principal at that school years later, that this person had started so much drama that it basically shut the school down. Meaning it caused all of the staff to somehow be involved, and teaching and learning was not taking place for that period of time in the day. That's influence. And that is somebody who never made a dime from their influence, who never had a power position, who never even left the classroom, grade level, content area that they started with when I came on board. And I was there for a long time. So if you think about these people, these are the people that you need to recognize immediately. And you do that by observing and listening and talking with people and really getting a feel for what's happening with your staff, your stakeholders, your people involved in your organization. And then you got to figure out a way to get them on your side. And I'm going to tell you, one of the mistakes I made with that teacher in particular is I allowed it to get to that place where it basically shut down the school before I realized I had to do something about it. I was at the school about 2 more years after that incident. And at that point, this teacher was 100% on board with me. Prior to that, 100% not on board with me. As a matter of fact, my feel was 100% against anything that I said. Good, bad, neutral, it didn't matter. It was just, if it was coming out of my mouth, this teacher was against it. So don't make that mistake of waiting. When I said I needed to know immediately at this last school I was at who these influential people were, it's because I learned that lesson. So you observe, you listen, you collect the data, and you do it quick. And how do you do it so quickly? You talk with the right people. That's where you start bringing in your power players, your team leaders, your managers, your directors, people that have been within the organization for a while can definitely get you to a place where they can say, okay, here's what I've noticed. And you do this with informal conversations. Don't sit across the room from them in a power position, in a formal position, saying, I need to know this, this, and this. No, you learn how to have conversations with them. You learn how to listen to the underlying feelings that are coming out in the conversations. All right, guys. So those are 3 big tips that I want to leave you with. You learn who these people are. You learn it quick. You observe, you listen, you really take note. You do it fast so that you know who you need to work with. And you do it through conversations that are not going to be very point blank, so to speak, kind of conversations. And then finally, as we wrap up today, you really make sure that you're working to get those people on your side. Now, this is important. If they're never going to get on your side, then you start making a plan to get them out. But if you have the feel that you can win them over, you can gain their support, that's when you do that. You start having conversations with them. You start giving them tasks to do. You start making them feel important. Because what I have learned most about influential people is they're influential because they enjoy being important. I'm influential. I like being important. I like having an impact on others. That's why I do what I do. I can speak from the heart on that. So these people, whether they're doing it with a good heart or not, they want to be important. They want to have an impact. That's their purpose. So you give them opportunities that are positive opportunities to have that impact, to get them on your side, to get them on board. You talk to them about an idea. I need your help, those kinds of things. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Just a little bit of tip for today. If you want more support with that, definitely reach out to me. I would love to get on a call with you. You can reach me just through email is perfect, sherrydixonconsulting@gmail.com. I'll put that link in the notes just so that you have it. I really, really feel passionate about this transformation work, but most importantly about learning who's going to get on your side and who's going to be important for you to keep and help them get moving along, because you want this to be the easiest transition you can absolutely do. Nothing is easy about it, so you don't want anything else coming on top of it. All right, have a great week. It's Thanksgiving week here in the United States, so enjoy time with your friends and families, and I will see you right back here next week on Turnaround Coach.